The Nintendo Switch OLED, is this thing actually worth getting? So let's find out. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's awesome that you're tuning in. Okay, so I have the Nintendo Switch OLED for some time now here on my Wicked collection. But oh man, it took me forever to find this freaking thing. It's just like by a coincidence that I found it in a local shop here. I was just shopping, it was just not just opened, and I saw two of them laying around, and I was more like, alright, I'm going to get myself one because I just want to review it on the channel. I love myself handheld, and Nintendo Switch, I will still say I have a double feeling with this device because the Switch idea is like freaking brilliant. But when you're looking at it, what you're going to get, I'm more like a docking mode person, you know, like I'm always using this thing most of the time in docking, and I'm not actually using it like an handheld. So you know, that's the double feeling I'm having with it. But when you're looking at the Nintendo Switch OLED, is this something you need to buy? Because maybe you already own a Nintendo Switch or you just want to like buy a new one. Nevertheless, I'm going to help you out with this. We're just going to do a quick unboxing. They are selling this thing for €349. So when you compare this with the old Nintendo Switch, it's not like a big step up with the pricing. Maybe you can even find it for a cheaper price. And of course, what I understand, like the normal Switches are now around $289. So they made it a little bit cheaper now. So I'm hoping the second-hand market will change out. So for the people who just want to buy one second-hand, it can be an option. But stuff that we're going to talk about. Okay, so what you're going to get is basically the same stuff. They also did some, let's say, some minor changes, what I find quite interesting in my opinion. Like the HDMI cable is still the same quality high HDMI cable you're going to get with every single Nintendo Switch, beside the Lite of course. And then we're going to get ourselves the Nintendo special power supply, because if you look closely you can see this thing has two kinds of voltage because of the docking option. Then we're going to get this weird controller for your Joy-Cons that I'm basically never going to use. So let's put this thing back in the box. Seriously, like I'm always using my Pro controller. I'm not going to use this thing. Okay, so but the docking station over here, I must say that they packed up everything very nicely. Everything with a lot of bubble wrap. Of course, also going to get these weird things. I'm just gonna be honest, I have no idea like how they're called. And I personally like never used it. No, seriously, like I've never used this thing with my previous Switch. Okay, so the docking is a quite interesting thing because they changed out a lot of things. So let's take a close look at it, and also we're going to do a side-by-side comparison in the later part of this video. But the form factor is completely different, and also they changed some things out, like the cover on the back is now one big piece of plastic. It's not coming with a hinge. It was quite interesting, and I'm hoping this freaking thing doesn't scratch up my Nintendo Switch like it did with the previous one. So next up, what we're going to get is the Joy-Cons. And I must say, like the Joy-Cons, I personally don't like them at all. And the main reason, there is no normal D-pad. There is one on the Lite. But, man, even with the controller, without the controller, I don't like it, man. The controllers are too small for my hands, including the buttons. So I'm not a big fan of the Joy-Cons in general. But let's get this show on the road and let's take a close look at the Joy-Cons. How will they fit? Because I get this idea, like these things have been modified because they fit way better. We don't go need to get the wiggly freaking Joy-Cons anymore. Most of the parts of the casing is exactly the same like the original Nintendo Switch. So they didn't change out a lot of things. Here we're going to get the cover for the game cards. And yeah, I don't know what's going on, but this freaking thing doesn't want to... Why does this thing doesn't go in the normal position? I think it's like the first time I'm using it, but yeah, okay, let's say like it's the first time I'm using it. But the thing is like... There's not really special when it comes to this. The only thing I do like about it is the built-in stand. They changed it out, like this thing looks way better. I was more like, why didn't they do this in the freaking first time? Because this thing gives you so much better ways to play. Then we're going to get there the input for the CF card. Oh man, yeah, that is much better. Okay, so let's boot it up. And let's see how this Nintendo OLED looks like. Is it any good? Is it amazing? Boots up. Ooh. But the next thing that we needed to do is of course check out the docking station, because that's the thing that I'm going to use most of the time. Yep, so I don't know if I'm going to be a big fan of this construction, because it feels more like chip to the chip now. Okay, so let's plug in the HDMI cable. Next up we need to plug in, it's of course the power cord, because we need to charge the system. And of course, if you don't do this, the docking station doesn't work. Because the docking station itself also needs some juice. So let's click this thing back in. Not a big fan of it again. And the first thing I'm noticing that it feels slightly different when you slide in the Nintendo Switch. Of course, it works like a charm. And yeah, this is going to be mostly the way I'm going to play. But let's first check out the display itself. And what I'm noticing, like, the games look very nice and vibrant. But of course the first game I'm going to play is Sonic Mania. That's basically like my #1 game I play on my Switch. But what I also like about this game, that all the colors, and you can see like how cool it is. But what I also like about the Nintendo Switch is the bezel. Okay, so the OLED, I think it's a big step up when it comes to the display itself. Again, it's a little bit of a bummer that they didn't add some more power to this thing. But okay, maybe in the future we'll see something like that. But it's like a minor step up, and you have seen it before when it comes to the Nintendo DS lineup. They started with a very basic clamshell design and they improved it over the years. And they're basically doing the same thing when it comes to the Nintendo Switch OLED. But let's do a quick comparison with the 2019 model or the Nintendo Switch version number 2. Also, this was like a minor step up, especially when it comes to battery life and the chip. They did some minor changes, but when you're looking side by side with the displays, the bezels is so big of an improvement. Like, it gives you a completely different experience when you're holding it in your hand and playing some games. When I'm grabbing my camera, I'm going to do an up close. You can see like the colors, but also like how vibrant the OLED display is. So in combination with the thinner bezel, or there was no bezel at all almost, I think like this is such a big an improvement. And now when you're putting it side by side with the 2019 model or version number 2, it's like a completely different way to play. So minor upgrade like an OLED display can make such a big difference. But let's bring this to the next level with comparisons, and here you can see all the versions. We have in version 1, version 2, the Lite Edition and OLED. And the fun fact is, like, when you're seeing all basically the steps like the version 1, version 2 up to the OLED, you can see like it's always like a minor step up, but it is an improvement. And the Lite, it's a different story in my opinion, because that thing looks really cool for a tiny LCD display. And when you're going to put them side by side, yeah, it's like a very big difference. So depending on what kind of model you're having, or if you don't have a model at all, like, is this OLED an upgrade? That is something you need to decide for yourself. But one thing is clear, that the OLED display looks amazing, and I'm a big fan of it. And I'm just going to be honest, I will use this OLED from now on. I'm not going to use the other ones anymore. But okay, so let's take a close look at some other things. For example, how is the weight? So the weight of this device in total is 326 grams without the Joy-Cons, and with the Joy-Cons we're going to get it for 426 grams. And yeah, that's kind of a very heavy device. Okay, so another thing I really love about it is the stand. So they changed it out. Normally we're going to get this plastic horrible piece of crap, but now we're going to get a very nice solution, and we can even put it in different angles. So that is the thing that I love about Nintendo products. They try to improve it and they try to make it better. So I will give them extra kudos for this, because this is like freaking awesome. And you can see like, let's put them in a very nice angle, but I would not like try to bash on it, because accidentally bashing it will destroy it. Okay, Next up, the docking station. The docking station looks completely different. I already shown you like how to plug everything in. Another thing they changed out here, we're going to get this very thick rubber mat beneath it. And then we're going to get, of course, the piece of plastic fantastic that you can change out. But let's do a quick comparison with the older one. So when you're looking at side by side, you can see like there are like gigantic differences. First of all, the design of the OLED docking is completely different. And in my opinion, it looks way more better than the older version. Okay, but will it scratch up your Nintendo Switch OLED? To be honest, I didn't see any damages so far. Fun fact, you can just use your old Switch in the new dock. And you feel like when it goes in, it slides in slightly different. You know what I'm saying with this? Slides slightly different. But yeah, you get the point. The thing is like, it's a big improvement. But we'll see by using this thing a couple of times and docking, will it scratch up my Nintendo Switch. Okay, so here you can see the difference. So the old one got just the rubbery feet, a very cheap basic thing. And here we're going to get the hinge with plastic fantastic. I must say that I was not the biggest fan of this, so I don't mind the new version. We're just going to get this piece of plastic that's clicked in. Alright, so at the bottom I've already shown you the big rubber mat. And of course I removed the back cover. But yeah, let me know in the comments which model do you prefer. Do you have to have this piece of plastic you can remove? Or do you want to have like a piece of plastic with a hinge? Let me know in the comments. But in the end, we needed to like slide it in for the upcoming month and just see how it goes. Another thing they changed out is the RG45 port in the new docking. That is a big positive thing, especially if you want to play online and don't want to use the wireless connectivity all this freaking time. Because we're having a router that is like for shit, like really horrible. And I must say that the construction wise of the docking is okay. But in a combination with the RG45, very big thumbs up, because that's a very big positive thing. Okay, alright, so let's slide it in and let's conclude this video. But first of all, I cannot say like you need to get one or you don't need to get one. I think that's something you need to decide for yourself. But when you're looking at all these comparisons, so let's say you don't have a Switch at all and you just want to get one. In my opinion, if you want to have a Nintendo Switch that has the docking capabilities and the handheld mode, the OLED is in my opinion the obvious choice, because that thing is freaking awesome. But a part of me is still very satisfied with the Nintendo Switch Lite, because that model does have a very nice crisp display. It's slightly smaller than the previous one, especially the OLED of course, but it's in pure handheld. But yeah, for the Nintendo Switch Docking Edition, I think the obvious choice will be the OLED if you don't have one. If you have one, is it an upgrade? I don't know, man. It's like a minor upgrade. It's a cool experience. And if you like sell off your old Switch and get yourself a new one with, let's say, a small amount that you need to pay extra, maybe that's an option of a solution, or you just want to collect and play them all. That is often something you need to decide. So the Nintendo Switch, the OLED edition, I was very pleased to get it here on the channel. I want to make a review for a very long time. This will be my main Switch for now on. And yeah, the display is such a cool, great experience. I want to thank you for watching. Consider subscribing, hit the little bell, become the Wicked family. And I will see you in the next video.